Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Callie's Kingdom, and today I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a writing update because although it hasn't been super long since my last video, I feel like I have a lot to catch you up on. So I'm going to go throughout my progress of all the books that I made in July and just get you a little bit caught up on where I went ahead in August. So first of all, as I've been discussing in other vlogs, I've been editing my book Crystallized, and I'm happy to say that my edit through is all done. So now I am about ready to send it off to beta readers. I'm actually going to do that probably tomorrow, which is July 31st. So that's very exciting. I already made them their own copies on there, and I made own copies of beta reader feedback Google documents, and I sent those ones out. And I actually sent the book out to my mom a little bit early because she was excited, and I'm so excited for her to read it. So I sent that out. Something else that I did in August for that book was I wrote a rough draft of a query letter, which is very exciting, but also I'm probably not going to be querying this book for another year. My goal is by next August, so that way I can get it out to beta readers, give them like 2.5 months, maybe 3 if they need it, implement all their changes, maybe send it out again to people, or have at least some people read it again if they want to, and then further implement that. Then go over, do like a last line edit, research agents, and then maybe even June, July next year. But also I know I will slow down a lot when I go back to college, which although I'm going on co-op, I will be back to my college in the springtime next year. So there is that. But I am very, very happy with the progress that I've made on this. And now is the hard part, which is just shut down the Google Doc, do not look at it, which when people start beta reading it, I might have to go and look at their comments and things like that, but I am not reading it nor editing it anymore myself. I already went through it once. I read through it in a binder. Then I went through and implemented the changes that I wrote down there and also added in new scenes. Then I read through that again. And then I read through that one more time, but the last time was just like a final skim through, like let me make sure this is all good, and I like skimmed over parts and pages. But yeah, so I have been with the story on this draft, or on these couple of drafts for a little while, and I just need to take a step back. Although I will say, every time I read it, I'm very surprised, and I get to the ending and I just can't stop, which is a good sign, and I'm just like, wow. This is really good. Although, of course, like everyone, I have those days where I'm like, oh my gosh, my book is not good enough, which I still think there are a lot of things that hopefully my beta readers can help me improve, but I think it's in a really good spot right now, so I'm very happy. Also, to try and keep myself distracted from working on that book, but also feeling like I'm working on something, I have been drawing my 3 main characters, and I'm very, very happy with how it's turning out. This is flipped, so it looks a little strange to me right now. But the girl in the front is Alicia. She's a seer. The boy is Malachi. He's a shapeshifter. And this is Delana, and she is a weather manipulator, so you can see like the lightning behind her. And I have more about them and their story in other videos, but since this is just a writing update, I'm not going to go into that right now. Another thing that I've done for this book is that I've started writing the synopsis. And I have written at least one synopsis before when I was in 8th or ninth grade. I think it was ninth grade. Maybe it was 8th grade. And trying to send out my middle grade book that I ended up self-publishing on Amazon. I know I wrote a synopsis for that. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. And also, since I was younger, the synopsis might have not been the best, but I just wanted to get an idea for the structure. So basically right now, I know synopses are kind of just like baseline summaries of the book, which is really hard for this one because there's a lot going on. So right now I'm just writing it, and I know some agents ask for like a 1-page one, some people ask for 3 pages. So I think by the end of this, it might be, depending on if I double space or not. If I double space it, it'd be probably longer than 3 pages, honestly. But right now, it's like single spaced, and I'm at 1.25 of a page, and I think it will be around 2.5 pages. So then I need to cut it down somehow for a 1-page one, and I need to lengthen it, or maybe not lengthen it. Maybe it'll be good for a 3-page one. So I'm hoping to have the rough draft of that done by this next month in August. And that's kind of my goals for Crystallize. Just get the synopsis, rough drafts done, and maybe go over the query letter draft a little bit, but nothing too much. And other goal, leave it alone. Maybe if I don't get it finished now, finish my drawing. Those are the Crystallized goals. So, other writing update. Literally yesterday, I recently got back into the book that I am writing with a bunch of other people. It's a very fun, collaborative, creative project called The Land of the Second Sun, and my character in it is the main character. She's telling about like half of the story, and we've kind of died off a little bit since it's summer, but the one guy whose part it was next was kind of just like skip me and then write them meeting up. So I feel like I was just talking to someone about this. Actually, my mom. I tell her a lot of things about my writing, and she has to listen. But I was just telling her that I think we are at the beginning of Act 2 now in this book. Obviously, it's not planned. Well, not obviously. We have like a vague idea where it's going. I kind of control it the most since I'm the main character. Well, like, I'm not the main character, but my character is. And they're all kind of based off of ourselves. Someone once called it a fan fiction of our floor because it's my whole floor that I lived on last year. We kind of started collaborating and making a book. Maybe I will talk about that another time. I probably already have. But anyway, it's like a fantasy world, you know, your typical fantasy land. My character is a girl named Kemra. And right now I just wrote a scene where she's having a meeting with not like, oh, they're sitting down and having a meeting. No, she's meeting another character that will become a part of kind of her adventuring party. Because in the end, I think our plan is to have 4, although the one girl kind of hasn't written a lot, and she's going to be the 4th one that joins the party. But so I'm not sure if that's still the plan or not. But she met up with the first guy in her party like a while ago, maybe like halfway through Act 1. So he's been there, they've been traveling together, and now they're meeting another guy. And he just went through a whole like, all of his men were attacked. He's the heir to one of the houses, or like a high lord in this kingdom, but he has been sent out to like go see the world. And also his people, his house, have kind of foreseeing powers. They can see the future. He can't really too much right now. But basically they run across his carriage, which is all broken down, and his mentor and him were the only two to escape an attack from this clan called the Kuglin clan. And in it, they just like meet up. The other prisoner party's very much like, he just loves to fight. He's not very smart. And he's also just so bored with anything that's not fighting. And he doesn't like this house that the heir comes from, House Valier. He's just like, oh my gosh, they don't know how to fight. They're just full of whimsy and stuff like that. And so he's just like, let's go. And Kemra's like, no, we must make sure they're okay. So then they meet Thomas Valier, the heir to House Valier, and his mentor, kind of, you don't know it. I mean, readers kind of know it. Kemra doesn't know it. Closes his eyes and opens them and is like, Thomas will go with you. It says something like, your journey is not just a journey to deliver crops, which is what she said. And she's like, yes it is. We're just delivering crops. We're not doing anything else. When really they're trying to research into this crystal called Arcanite that had an explosion. And these people from a different continent, Westonia, were blamed for it. So someone that Kemra was close to got imprisoned and all that lore. So the mentor is just like, Thomas will go with you. And Thomas like, okay, I'll go get our belongings. He's very like smiley, kind of silly, but also very knowledgeable and loves solving riddles and puzzles. Because a lot of these are based off of people on my floor, so I kind of write this guy like he's the guy who created him. The only one who that's a little bit not true is the other guy in our party, Adelard. The guy who created him is not just all about fighting, he does like fighting. And he also is pretty smart, seeing as we go to an engineering STEM school. So that part's also not like it. But some of the times it's like, okay, I see glimpses of him in this character too. But it's really fun. So we got to that scene. Then they started on their journey, just catching up the new guy. And then they arrived in this holy city where they went to a tavern right now. And that's where I'm at right now. And also, the guy Adelard cannot bring his weapons in. And he's like, what? What if we get attacked? And the woman who works there is just like, the great Rosie will look after us. Because Rosie is the religion in this world, seeing as this is kind of like based off of people from my floor and based off of parts of my school, and our mascot is an elephant named Rosie, so Rosie is the religion. It's just such a fun time. I don't know if we'll ever get this published. I kind of hope I can at least self-publish it. But it's just so fun that everyone's so collaborative about this, and we're just a school of engineers. So I actually wrote like 2,000 words for that today. I finished up one chapter and then I started writing another chapter, but I need to wait. I got the guy whose character Thomas to look over it and approve it, because we kind of like, if you have a big scene with other characters, it's like you probably should see if that person has anything to say about it. So I sent it to him. He was like, yep, it's good. Now I sent it to the guy whose character is Adelard, and he's not responded. And I just sent it today, so. But also, he takes forever to write his scenes. He's great, but he takes forever to write his scenes. And he has written like 2 scenes total now, or 2 chapters total now from Adelard's, and he needs to write 2 that I just skipped and moved on from. So he should write those soon. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun. I still get to finish the 1 chapter where they arrived at the tavern. It's going to lead up the next day, where then they run into Archbishop Grace, who has some secrets to do with the crystals, Arcanite. And the guy whose character is Archbishop Grace also kind of wrote his part already, so that if I finish this chapter, I can continue on with that other chapter. So, hopefully, my plan for next month, finish this chapter, and then write the other chapter, see where everyone else is at, because this one I'm not as like, I need to stay on schedule, because I don't control it very much. So, I will write what I can. And I do control a lot of it, because it's like, I'll reach out to people. I'm like a project manager. Hey, could you write your scene? Hey, could you do this? Although a lot of times I'll just skip things. But I feel like after, not I finish this chapter, but I finish next chapter, then we kind of need to like, all talk and catch up about what's going to happen, or who's going to write next. Which is kind of hard because I'm going on co-op and they're all going back to school. But I shall visit, and I shall update you from there. But yeah, goal, write a chapter and a half for The Land of the Second Sun. Now, I have a few other projects that are in the works. So, this past week, I had an idea for another book called that I'm calling Project Academy. Obviously, working title, project name. But it's kind of like a dark academia, like they're witches at an academy, but there's a whole mystery going on, and there's a whole like dual timeline, like now and then, which is a year before. So this girl, her roommate, goes missing, but the thing is, no one thinks she existed. So the main character's name is Kalea. I just realized that I've been writing a lot of main characters with the names that start with K, because Kemra in Land of the Second Sun, Kalea in this book. I also have a character in Crystallized named Kyrus, but he's kind of the evil guy. But, you know, I just love names that start with K. I wonder why. But anyway, so Kalea, whose nickname is Kel, she goes to, which I always thought was like a cool nickname, was like spelled Kel, Kel. I think I saw like that nickname somewhere, and then I came up with the full name Kalea, and I tried to use that character's name as a different character in another book, but then that book didn't work out. But I think it also was a academy project, like took place in an academy. Anyway, she goes to a school, and the year before she had a roommate named Serafina, and this year she goes back. She has a new roommate, even though she wanted to stay with her same suite as last year. And she's like, what happened to Serafina? And everyone's like, who's Serafina? There was never a Serafina. So now she's trying to investigate the murder of someone who no one but her remembers, which I think is really cool. And she thinks it's a murder because she sees like a splotch of blood at the other side of Serafina's room. So that's why she thinks it's a murder. And she thinks someone might have used magic to try and cover it up and erase everyone's memories, but hers somehow. But she's looking into it. And also partway through, she starts to question if she's crazy and like what's going on. Because also she'll like forget things, or she'll show up in random places and not remember how she got there. So she's also scared that like something that maybe she is going crazy, or maybe she did something to Serafina herself. But I'm very excited. So I've planned out all of Act 1 for that, and I've planned out about half of Act 2. I don't think I want to do much more planning before I go into it, but I felt like I needed to have at least that planned out in a general direction of where I'm going because it's a murder mystery. But I'm very excited. So my plan is I want to start drafting that starting August 1st. And I want to finish writing Act 1 between August and September. And then I want to write Act 2 October and November. So that kind of takes up all of when the beta readers are reading Crystallized, so I can really focus in on this project and focus in on this kind of challenge of writing 2 acts of this book in 4 months. And seeing as Crystallized is about 88,000 words, I'm assuming that Project Academy will be about first draft 75,000 is kind of my goal, so I'm breaking that up into 25,000 per act and then 12,500 per month, which then breaks down to about 405 words per day, which I think is pretty reasonable. I feel like I can get ahead on some days, not write too much other days. I could be wrong, but I feel like 405 words is only about like a page and a half to 2 pages. So I think it's very manageable and doable. And seeing as, yeah, I wrote 2,000 words today. If I do that in a day, then I'm good for like 4 days if I want. Good for 5 days. So I'm very excited for that. I'm probably going to do a video outlining that. And then my last kind of goals aren't too pivotal for August, but also I think it was more June, but I started a project called Project Crown. I recently just wrote like 200 more words for it, and came up with a better starting line. That was, I was never supposed to be the heir, which I think draws a lot of mystery, draws you in, other than just like I gripped the railing and stared out over the crowd of the ballroom or blah, 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 whatever it was. I think that line's very exciting. But I kind of have a few ideas floating around for that book, but nothing set in stone. And nowhere that I really want to go immediately. So my idea for August is to just brainstorm, maybe start plotting a little bit of Act 1 and getting some more details worked out, and trying to figure out the actual goal of the bad guy, because I kind of know the goal, but just getting some details straightened out with some brainstorming. My other goal is to kind of brainstorm for a book project called Project Summer, which I have here. I started writing maybe about 2 summers ago, but I wrote it in a journal because I just wanted to stop like tracking my words and kind of get back to the root of what my writing was. And I started writing books in a journal. So I think that's actually a really cool idea. And I might continue to write it in a journal, but I also kind of want to have an idea more brainstormed out, because much like Project Crown, I just started writing without too much of an idea of where it goes. So I used to be so much of a pantser, just like, let me start writing. But now I think I like outlining by acts. Like, let me outline Act 1, and let me have a general idea for Act 2 and a general idea for Act 3 before I start going too far into a story. Although I still do think writing a couple chapters before planning like that is a good idea for me to just get a sense of the characters. But I'm really liking, I started rereading this, and I really do like the atmosphere, like the setting, like the characters. I just need to know where we're going more and have more of an idea of that. Especially since maybe when I started writing this, I had more of an idea, but I forgot it since then. So those are all of my writing updates from July and my writing goals for August. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you have any writing goals of your own or things that you have accomplished in August, make sure to comment them down below. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye!